Hello guys, how are you doing? This is Two Statistics. And before we start to talk about the video, just a quick announcement. I will be recording one video per day in this month. I really want to push August to make a lot of content and even find a job as an analyst. And also in the next two videos, I pretend to start to include the in-game footage. I really practiced in the last few days how to expectate the demos. So just be aware, the next video is gonna be better. Now moving on, TYLOO, Inferno. TYLOO is an excellent team. They have a really control position with the CT side. On the T side, they play very aggressive. It's really fun to watch. And the Asian scene, the Chinese teams, the Oceanian teams are really growing up. They're not a really gap now. The TYLOO play the final, Mongols play the major finals. The Chinese teams are good, the Asian teams are good. Let's gonna show how they play. Starting with the CT profile, they really like this split, like they have three or two players here, two or three players. And unlike other teams, they doesn't rotate because we see teams like 3D Max, Vitality rotating always one player in this region. But TYLOO no. TYLOO prefer to stick to the position. They only be rotation when the aggression from the T sides are coming. So they play this control position. You're gonna see players here, making also the cross angles. Two players on the banana region, please one player on the support. So how is this split? 3, 2, 2, and 3. Now, one player that really stands out from this control position, that is the outline of the plays that they do a lot, is the house aggro. They start with two players on the house pushing out, and then one player on the boiler position to enter. So they're gonna connect and make a sandwich in this position to the T side. Sometimes this play doesn't win the rounds, like on the round 18 against the 3D Max. This doesn't does a lot of effect. They just push and have to return. But it's a very interesting break the rhythm. And we see on the B side, just two players on the banana with a Molotov here to connect to these players. But it's very standard. I really like this aggression right here. That is worth to pay attention. Now for the default, the setups that they do as default is 2A and 3B. We start with two players A crossing the angles, really passive. One player on the boiler, one player on the top mid, sometimes on the long corner with just a smoke. Because if the T's break out the smoke with nade or even sometimes throw Molotov, that the T's like throw Molotovs here in this position, they just fade out. Meanwhile, on the B side, we see two players on the banana. And what is interesting in what they do, different than the other teams, is that without the WP on this three-player setup, they will play more passive. One player here, and then one player as the support throughout the utility. So, they smoke, the flash, sometimes a Molotov. But when they have the WP, they push with G. G gonna take out some picks right here. Sometimes on the boost positions, they're gonna show in when they have two players here with the WP. Now with the 3A to B, since the mouse is already on the B side, let's start talking about the B. They play really passive because they really like this control approach. As I said, they want to go forward when they push the banana only two players. Just control one boost on B main, really passive, really standard throwing the utilities right here. Sometimes the T is gonna push with a smoke here to break out, so you have an aid to break this smoke. This is very interesting. I always have an aid here. And then with three players on the A side, they really like this cross angle. And instead of the smoke with the two players, they do the Molotov because the Molotov is a better indicator because they're preventing the T's from connecting. And if the T's really want to push out, they will have to phase out this Molotov or wait to fade. So they're gonna win more timing. That is very interesting for the T's win this time battle. And then they cross angles. Boiler to long corner and then to connect right here. Sometimes we see a player on the short position, or one boiler, one short, but it's a more standard trade position. And the downside of this position is that they fully ignore the house region, the apartments, the bedroom position, and it makes it easier for the teams to connect. But one player here sometimes aim start here, when start here, stay out for the noises. And now with the 3A and 2B, now the WP on the B side. As I said, they play the WP on the banana, but sorry, on the boost position, but he also can push in the banana. So you're gonna see him push right here. And that's because they throw this smoke more fade back, really on the return of the banana near the car position. Instead of the smoke here, the Molotov here, they prefer to play more passive. And this open a very interesting position for the 3A because in the 3A now in this time He will have a player that right here that can connect to Shard's house. So they are waiting on rotation Shard's house position with the three players on the A side and to be with the WP. So the WP play more passive and the 3A play more aggressive. Now for the opposite with the 2A and now the WP on the 2A. As I said, they play one player on the apartment region and another the G on the corner. Sorry, G is right here. He plays aggressive with the WP, waiting for the aggression to come out to him. And now with the three players B, they doesn't need to play more passive, so they only smoke on the mid region or the connector region of the mid. And wait, and something that interesting that happens sometimes is that he gonna push banana alone because he has one player to trade and one player to throw the utilities. Because if he needs a flash, he'll call the flash, and he needs a molotov, he'll call the molotov, and he's using this position to throw out these molotovs on the banana. So he's just waiting for the utilities to come out, and he will push. That is very interesting repetition with the 3B. And what you can take from the CT, just to make an overall conclusion, because this is the last position as the CT, is that the region that has the WP on the B side plays passive, the region that has the WP on the A side plays aggressive. So B is for control, A is for aggressive, and is on the CT approach. And that's why we see that house aggression that I showed that breakouts this control. And as I said, really back on the CT profile, we doesn't see a lot of rotations. These positions are more locked. 3, 2, they're just waiting for the cheese to push. And then they start to rotate, of course, because if the cheese storm out on the A side, they rotate to the B front to A. And now for the T profile very standard to what they play with the mid control, as I already drew the 3 arrows right here, that we see always one player here, maybe one player here, but always in this position, we're gonna see one player from them. And they make this control a lot. And then they also play the infralurkers. The infralurkers that sometimes you're gonna see when the attack is happening on the A, one player lurker on the B. Attack is on the B, one player in the lurker in the A mid, and then they have this fast attacks. What I mean by fast attacks is that the attacks on the quick time, not just rushes, because as I said in the previous video, I define rushes as 4 or 5 players. Quick attacks are 3, 2 players just rushing. Just this quick difference for those that aren't followers on the channel. And remember to subscribe because I have sometimes 400 people watching the video and only like 100 subscribers. Just remember, please. Now, just an example of what I said about this lurker split information. A play that they like to do is this 2A, 2B. We see 2 players on the banana connecting, 2 players on the A side, and then we see a lurker, G as the lurker, because he plays the mid. If the banana players need a +1, he'll connect. If the A players need a +1, he'll connect first. And this information of split is more to really understand the map, how the CTs are playing. So I'm gonna push very slowly, just getting the information. This is the break of the pattern. That's just I show on the house aggression on the CT. This is the outlier, how they break out their pattern. Now for the standard approaches on the A side, they really like this split on the A side with 2 players boiler, 2 players mid, and 2 players on the apartment, and this keeping showing off. I need to learn how to stop to showing this part of the canvas. And as I said, I aim for lurker. We see one player lurking around on the banana. He has the 2 jobs: first to lurker and second to exit a flank, because we see these 2 setups right here, right here. So they need to connect with one player lurking around. That is what ping on the A side. And I really like this deep smoke right here on the stop region out of these houses, because a lot of teams only throw the smoke on the end of the round, maybe sometimes after a plant or after they get the crash on the B side. But TYLOO, no. TYLOO prefer to do an early smoke on this region. Now the attack banana. Once again, they split 2 lurkers with 2 players on the lurking side, on top mid, on the mid side to boiler, and other to the apartments region, to the bedroom region, right, he's on the position. And meanwhile, you see 3 players on the banana making a triangle of the attack. That's the why they throw this Molotov, and Molotov sometimes more deeper here, to avoid the pushing from the CT, because the player usually stand behind this kind of wall. I don't know how you guys call it in English, I call just papelão. But in other words, they block out the spray of the Molotov, removing him, and then push. And then they usually stop and control the banana right here in this position. They doesn't push it towards the boost, towards the pole region, towards the fountain region. They stop here. And they will stop because they are waiting for the two players on the mid region to rotate towards them. So they just wait. And now to the rush B. And yes, double Moseo. It's the same play right here. It's Moseo. Because he plays these two both positions, Moseo. Moseo plays on the top mid. Sorry, I keep talking top mid, but it's just mid. In the mid position, right near the boiler. And also the bedroom to apartments region. So Mosaic can be in either of these positions while the team is attacking because even rushes, they really like to lurk here. They always have one player lurk around in the map. So sometimes to counter TYLOO is to try to find the opposite player because if you are feeling that they're rushing A or rushing B, just go for the opposite bomb and lurk find at least one player, usually here, this position. That is the most common position they have one lurker. Now we're starting, two Molotov right here, an age, an age and a flash to break out this player's position because as usual, the CT is right to hold this angle, like the corner position, and then storm out. In the rush A, these two players right here, they have the option to lurker. So, they aren't here, but they are near close and sometimes aim towards in this direction. And that's why it doesn't see the smoke right here like they did in the attack. They do the smoke on the boiler region that is more close. And what is interesting to pay attention is that how they utilize the utilities because these two players have this job of flanking and also the job to pushing. And what is interesting, they split it happens because they start in two apartment and then one player will go down boiler and push towards short. So they engage on the pit region with the Molotov to kick out this player, flash to kick out the apartment's player right here near the stairs, and then move. And as this is the last slide of the T sides, the positions, I want to do also another conclusion because rushes for the TYLOO and other T-sided teams are low weapons. Sometimes they have one WP that it's left out from another round, a secondary weapon, maybe two AKs, one AK, one Galil, one AK. So they quick rush when they doesn't have the full money, the full utilities, because rushes happens without all the utilities thrown all of the time installing. No. Tech 9 is Galils and maybe a city weapon like a FAMAS, MP5. And that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the content. About the future content, it was highly requested to do power vision, this too. And then there is the NIP train. Just a disclaimer, I rate train. Train's the map that I never watch. I don't like to play train. I don't understand train. So it is really right to me to describe how to play train because it's a map that I myself doesn't like. So, I will try my best to explain how they play train, but I can't guarantee a good job because it's hard for me. So that's it. And how about Astralis? Astralis, I keep showing Astralis, I keep showing Astralis. And I don't know what to talk here. Some people suggest Nuke, some people suggest Ancient, others Mirage. I really don't know. But I want to talk about the team because Astralis is a team that I like, the organization that I really like. And that's it. And I also want to talk about Vitality, but I was waiting Colony to end to talk about the Vitality Inferno. And that's it. Remember to subscribe to the channel, follow me on every social media, and see you soon. See you in case tomorrow because tomorrow we're gonna see per vision this too. Bye bye.